Marcus Hale and Evelyn Brooks were ordinary names in public databases, yet behind those identities were the masterminds whose ruthless precision in retail theft forced law enforcement into the biggest multi-state crackdown America had ever seen. It began with unexplained shortages appearing in neat digital spreadsheets at retail headquarters. One store in Dallas reported missing shipments of beauty items that seemed to evaporate before even reaching shelves. Another in Detroit flagged unusual loss spikes in electric toothbrushes and portable speakers. At first, these incidents were treated as isolated mistakes, clerical errors, misplaced pallets, maybe an inside employee looking for extra cash. But as weeks passed, the pattern grew impossible to ignore. Corrections were made, audits were launched, and extra cameras were installed. The numbers, however, kept climbing. What baffled analysts most was the consistency. Every incident involved high-demand items that could be easily resold online or shipped overseas, yet weren't obvious luxuries. They were everyday goods, stolen in exact quantities small enough to avoid instant detection but large enough to cause steady financial bleeding. An operations manager in Phoenix noticed that every time a shipment went missing, unexpected increases in returns appeared at unrelated stores hundreds of miles away. These returned products were fake versions with identical barcodes replacing the real ones. Further investigation found that these barcode labels were professionally reproduced and swapped before the items ever made contact with regular customers. Shipments were likely being intercepted, stripped, and repackaged with remarkable precision. Every theft followed the same blueprint. It suggested careful planning rather than simple opportunity. Then the mystery took a sharp turn when a container of cleaning supplies was discovered sitting in a locked storeroom that wasn't listed in any lease documents. Hidden behind the false wall, detectives found a cache filled with brand new products that matched missing inventories from multiple states. News spread quietly through executive circles, where meetings were held behind closed doors and email chains were tagged with high secrecy labels. Store managers were told to keep calm while silent alarms and discreet tracking tags were added to future shipments. But deep concern spread across headquarters in multiple chains. How had thieves attached themselves so precisely to supply routes without setting off alarm bells? Why were losses occurring in both rural and urban areas in equal measure? This was not the pattern of teenage shoplifters or disgruntled employees. The early warning signs made one thing clear: something invisible, well-funded, and highly coordinated was feeding on the heart of American retail, and nobody yet knew its name. The investigation shifted from simple retail audits to a national manhunt almost overnight. Once analysts tied together nearly 200 suspicious incidents spread across 28 states. Surveillance teams gathered days of footage from various stores, carefully reviewing grainy videos in hopes of spotting common threads. What they found shocked even seasoned officers. Groups of 3 to 4 individuals entered stores with calculated calm. One person would drift toward floor staff and ask an elaborate series of questions about inventory, drawing attention away from critical zones. Another pretended to browse aimlessly, blocking camera angles while moving carts and baskets into blind spots. The remaining members slipped into stockrooms or delivery areas through propped emergency exits, wearing outfits that mimicked official uniforms. They moved with ease, snatching up compact, high-value products in less than 4 minutes before exiting separately as if they'd never met. Vehicles waiting outside used license plates that checked out as legitimate but were traced back to cars reported stolen and recovered months earlier. When retailers compiled data, a disturbing pattern emerged. Each targeted store sat near a major highway or central freight corridor, giving thieves quick access to escape routes. Internal maps showed invisible lines tracing highways from Florida to Maine, weaving into Ohio, down to Arkansas, and sweeping west toward Nevada. Federal agents concluded this was a traveling network, not stationary gangs bound to one city, but a fluid operation shifting constantly. The stolen goods were routed into hidden storage rooms located inside abandoned industrial parks, self-storage facilities registered under fake names, and rented warehouses with no signage. By the time investigators tracked one location, the merchandise was already packed into freight shipments labeled as agricultural supplies or second-hand electronics bound for overseas markets and online resellers. As the scale became clear, the Department of Homeland Security stepped in, coordinating with state police, customs officials, and cybercrime units. Undercover teams posed as warehouse workers, shipping clerks, and online buyers in hopes of cracking the sprawling operation. They discovered encrypted group chats coordinating movements across time zones, with orders to hit specific stores on particular dates, always staying ahead of internal defenses. Fake identities were swapped weekly, burner phones were discarded, and trucks changed appearance through magnetic signage. While agents had handled rings like this before, none had encountered one that moved like a traveling military unit, precise, adaptable, untraceable. It was now evident America wasn't facing ordinary theft, but a disciplined criminal enterprise operating with chilling efficiency. The turning point in the sprawling investigation arrived unexpectedly along a quiet stretch of highway in rural Indiana. A state trooper running a routine patrol pulled over a delivery van with faded branding and mismatched license plates. The driver claimed he was transporting cleaning supplies to a nearby discount store, but he fumbled over basic questions. Sensing something wrong, the trooper called for backup and searched the vehicle. Behind a panel disguised with insulation foam, officers found a hidden compartment packed floor to ceiling with high-value merchandise, cosmetics, glucose monitors, rechargeable batteries, and wireless earbuds, all still bearing their original security stickers. The street value exceeded $200,000. What seemed like a random traffic stop was, in fact, the first real crack in a wall that had kept investigators in the dark for months. The driver, cornered and terrified, requested legal protection and agreed to cooperate. Through cautious interrogation, he whispered the words Project Eclipse, a code name repeated across anonymous text chains that told participants exactly which stores to strike and how to route goods undetected. Bank records revealed disturbing financial trails, cash deposits in precise sums, always under traditional reporting thresholds, funneled into hundreds of small accounts across the Midwest. These were then wired into offshore holdings connected to foreign shell corporations. At the head of one shell company sat a mysterious entity in Florida calling itself Sunbay Logistics, supposedly exporting janitorial products to South America. However, background checks showed that its listed address was nothing more than an empty lot fenced with rusted chain links. Investigators traced the van's movements backward using toll booth cameras, gas station receipts, and automated license plate readers. The vehicle had zigzagged between 5 states in 3 days, stopping briefly at storage units whose rentals were paid in cash by individuals using short-lived fake IDs. Each unit was part of a relay point where stolen goods were unloaded, divided, repackaged, and sent off in legitimate cargo shipments. The items were mixed with low-value merchandise to avoid suspicion during inspections. Homeland Security analysts discovered the group's preferred tactic was to disguise shipments as humanitarian aid or bulk buybacks, making it nearly impossible for customs officers to question every package without massive delays. As Sunbay Logistics came into focus, authorities prepared to move deeper. They needed stronger evidence and bigger allies. Knowing that exposing the architect of Project Eclipse would require dismantling a sophisticated system built on secrecy, technology, and relentless mobility, federal agents assembled strike teams across 3 states, understanding that precise timing would be essential to break the backbone of the organization. They conducted simultaneous raids on suspected distribution centers in Illinois, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. Each location appeared legitimate from the outside, operating under names like regional importers or pallet recyclers. But once agents entered, the facades crumbled. Inside the Illinois warehouse, investigators found entire aisles of high-end retail products individually wrapped in opaque shrink film and sorted into large wooden crates. Labeling on the crates claimed they contained office paper and janitorial bleach, intended for export. When opened, the items matched theft reports from dozens of stores across the southern United States. The Pennsylvania site posed a different challenge. Its interior was divided into narrow, maze-like corridors built of stacked shipping containers, each rigged with motion sensors and soundproof insulation. Hidden behind one of the containers were advanced tools for mass-producing counterfeit labels, barcodes, and fake return receipts. These enabled the group to return looted merchandise to stores for cash or gift cards, laundering profits without needing to ship every stolen item abroad. Computers seized at the location connected to a private communication network made up of encrypted smartphones and randomized email servers hosted in multiple countries. Analysts described it as a self-contained digital empire with no immediate central hub, a decentralized structure designed to withstand arrests or closures at any single location. What truly shocked agents was discovered in Nevada. The warehouse sat in an isolated patch of desert and appeared to be abandoned at first glance. Upon surveillance, they noticed regular deliveries arriving after sunset. During the raid, they uncovered a trapdoor hidden under piles of scrap metal leading to a network of tunnels originally constructed during the mid-1900s for industrial runoff. These tunnels stretched for half a mile, connecting to a remote parking lot concealed behind burned-out buildings. It allowed trucks to load goods unseen by aerial drones or street-level cameras. One arrest led to another in rapid sequence. In total, 47 individuals were detained that night, ranging from warehouse laborers to regional coordinators. Evidence collected revealed that many had military or technical backgrounds, explaining the group's tactical discipline and logistical precision. As agents secured the sites and transported suspects for questioning, analysts pieced together a chilling reality. What had been assumed to be scattered criminal cells was, in fact, a massive coalition, layered with fail-safes, backed by technology, and orchestrated by someone who understood both law enforcement pressure and retail vulnerability. The final breakthrough came not from advanced surveillance or high-profile raids but from a small auction in Miami where outdated business equipment was sold off by a bankruptcy firm. Among the items was a handheld barcode scanner with a rare internal chip used only in select automated warehouses. A sharp-eyed customs analyst remembered seeing the same model during the Nevada raid but had not connected it to any current retailer. Investigators purchased the device and traced its last registered software ping to a private network 1 mile from the Miami shoreline. Embedded GPS metadata pointed to a luxury property surrounded by high walls and security cameras facing away from the street. Federal agents quietly staked out the mansion and noticed patterns: unmarked vans arriving at odd hours, guests staying briefly, and strange shipments labeled as personal art moving out by boat instead of truck. After securing a warrant, a tactical unit entered the property just after dawn. Though outwardly opulent, the interior concealed a miniaturized command center. Walls were lined with screens showing live feeds from retail loading docks, store interiors, and shipping hubs across the country. Maps were marked with color-coded dots representing active, planned, or completed thefts. Hundreds of burner phones hung on pegboards, sorted with dates marked in ink. Nearby desks were covered with handwritten ledgers containing scheduling notes and financial breakdowns. The operation was directed with ruthless precision, and at the heart of it all stood a single figure, revealed through old corporate photos. A former cybersecurity consultant once employed by one of the nation's largest retail chains. Years earlier, he had worked on designing anti-theft systems and understood every flaw built into them. When the suspect attempted to escape through a concealed dock behind the mansion, agents intercepted him on a speedboat headed toward the open ocean. Under questioning, he remained silent, but digital forensics were already unraveling his hierarchy, including dozens of encrypted accounts and offshore bank connections. As the news went public, federal officials held a press conference assuring citizens that Project Eclipse had been dismantled. Yet their tone remained cautious. Evidence indicated other cells were already adapting to their exposed vulnerabilities. The tactics might evolve, timing might change, but the threat remained alive. Retail giants responded by overhauling security infrastructure, swapping vulnerable systems, and investing in advanced shipment tracking. While merchandise moved back onto shelves and customers returned to normal routines, those who understood the full story knew that this was only a temporary victory. The fight against organized retail theft had stepped into a new era, where shadows moved faster than ever, and danger often hid behind the most ordinary of products.